Hi, I'm Brian,
And I'm Michaela, and this is Drink the Movies.
a podcast where each week we try to recreate a classic movie drink and discuss the movie that inspired it.
Thanks for joining us. Now let's drink the movies.
Well, hello and welcome to episode 152 of Drink the Movies. I am Brian here as always with Michaela, and Michaela, it is time for another annual year in review. If my math is correct, this will be the fourth time we've recapped a year. Although I guess technically I don't know if we recapped that first year because we'd only done like four episodes at that point. But how are you doing? How was your New Year's? And how are you looking forward to 2024?
I am doing well. My New Year's was amazing. As you know, we spent it together, which
We did,
is
yes.
I don't want to say it's a tradition, but we've spent a couple of the last handful of New Year's together. We took a
hmm
time out,
hmm
I think, for COVID, and I think one time you were still back in Ohio. But for the most part, it's a tradition. We go to your house, we sing a lot of karaoke.
We
You
do.
you let me drink a lot of bubbles. It's amazing.
hmm
Um,
hmm
we eat a lot of amazing food that we make.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
always a good time. It's always a good
Can't
time, and we don't deal
can't
with the
confirm.
amateur hour. Yeah.
No. We have
Oh,
our own amateur hour at the house as
yes,
as what we do. That's the way to do it, I think. Yeah, you stay
yes,
home,
yes.
you have some friends, some loved ones over and you celebrate the new year. Yeah, that's what we did. We sang karaoke and drank some various cocktails and sparkly wines and things until, about 5 minutes before the ball dropped, flipped it over to Ryan Seacrest, rang in 2024, did a little toast and then stayed up as long as we could, which was not very much longer into 2024. I don't think our steam was running out quick at that point. So yeah, so that was the new year. But now it's time, Michaela. We have to look back. We have to look back at the year that was 2023, the year of Drink the Movies, the year of movies, the year of music. A lot of things happened this year, and we're going to talk about all of those. But before we do that, we need to come up with a cocktail that's going to be perfect for this time of year. It's going to capture winter. It's going to get us set on the right path for 2024, and I think that this is a good one. So let's do this. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back to whip up this week's drink.
So this drink, I think, does a really good pays homage to
Mm,
celebration, to wintertime, to kind of a refreshing drink. We've done a lot of kind of cream-based drinks over the last, I don't know, a few weeks. So this is kind of different from
yes.
that, which is nice. When you've had, I don't know, 13 gallons of aged eggnog, you want a little something light and spritzy
That's
for
right. Yeah,
for New
the New Year's
Year's.
resolution is to not drink 1,000 calorie eggnogs every day for sure, and you need something a little bit lighter. And this one is a good one. I think, Michaela. It's coming from Cosmopolitan.com, and it is called the Winter Cup. It is beautiful in a glass. It looks like winter, right? If you look out at like a snow covered
Yeah.
like snowdrift, you got some like pine
Hmm.
trees and berries. That's what this drink looks like in a glass.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's beautiful. And it's got, let's see, we're gonna take an ounce of your favorite dry gin. Um,
hmm hmm
I use Brockman's because I like mine a little floral, but it was very dry. You're gonna use half an ounce of raspberry liqueur, your favorite one. I used Chambord, I think that's raspberry. And then you're going to add that to a glass with ice. You're going to add a splash of some sparkling lemonade. And then you're going to garnish it with the fruit. Now, we used oranges, blackberries, raspberry. You can put like some mint leaves in there.
hmm
I keep talking about these like cranberry, rosemary ice cubes that I made. You could do that too. This doesn't have cranberry in it, but it's pretty and it's got red in it. I mean, the
It does.
colors are
Yeah.
nice.
hmm
So anything you want, whatever measure this with your heart, put that at the top, make it really pretty, and then drink this and enjoy it because it's amazing.
It is amazing. Yeah, it's really good. This is really simple, actually. It would have made a good lobby bar cocktail there, just with the gin and the raspberry liqueur and a little sparkling lemonade. That's gonna be pretty easy to put together. But yeah, it's fresh and clean, and you get a little bit of that fruit forwardness from those aromatics, coming off the top of your cup there. It reminds me a lot of like a Pim's cup. Like this is like a winter version of a Pim's cup here. You can just basically put kind of any fruits or things you want in there and drink and enjoy. But I think this is going to be perfect to get us set. It's a nice, kind of clean, slightly sweet from the fruit, and it's going to set our mind straight to get into 2024 because it looks like I've got a list of things coming out in 2024. Michaela, and that list is vast. So hopefully we don't have any crazy hiccups like we did this year. So let's do this. Let's mix ourselves up a Windsor Cup, and we'll be right back to chat about the year that was 2023 and the year that hopefully will be 2024. We'll be right back.
Spoiler warning for the end of the year episode of Drink the Movies in 2023 slash Happy New Year 2024. We're going to talk about a lot of movies, and pretty much every movie we reserve the right to talk about the ending. So
Hmm.
sorry, I'm going to apologize in advance.
Wow, that is quite the blanket spoiler right there. Every movie for the year is fair game. Now we're probably not going to get into like crazy
Right, right.
ends of movies. Maybe save one, but we already talked about that one in an episode earlier this year. But yeah, 2023 was a pretty weird year. Michaela, it started off pretty normal, like any other year. It was episode 110. We did Shawshank Redemption. I think was the first episode of the new year. You know, that classic of classic movies, and that got us set off on our way. And then we did a pretty good job of bouncing back and forth between some classics, some things that we wanted to talk about. You know, stuff like Noises Off made the cut this year, but then it was a lot of new movies too, right? We were coming into 2023. It was, COVID was yeah, it's still very much here, but kind of all of the things being closed down and out of commission was basically in the rear view mirror. So the movies were back pretty much full force. 2023, we were going out to see a lot of stuff, but then there was a bit of a hiccup in the middle of the year. The writers went on strike, and then the actors went on strike. Rightfully so, rightfully so. We didn't know how those things were going to shake out, how long they were going to be, and it really kind of threw a wrench in the year. So it made for an interesting year for Drink the Movies, I will say, but got off pretty normal there. Shawshank Redemption, and then quickly escalated into the Oscars. And I have to say, was the worst Oscars of all time for one reason, and it's because Michaela beat me at our Oscar pick'em.
Oh my gosh. Uh, Rightfully so. To be fair, this is a total outlier year, Brian. You know it. I know it. It's
I'm
it's like
coming
in
back with the force this
it's
year,
like in
hopefully.
Arrested Development, but they were wrong. Everyone knew they were wrong. Um, I don't know how I managed to do it, but I did feel like it was the best Oscar year because everybody that I wanted to win won. I mean,
That's true.
it was so great. We felt really good about the movie that won. We felt really good about the actors. No one got hit. There was no abuse. It was great. It was really good. I
That
mean, other than the
that's
fact
right.
that you lost the Oscar pick'em, I thought it was pretty successful.
See, normally my path to victory is because I know that Michaela is going to pick with her heart, even though her head is telling her otherwise. But this year, her heart came through to full fruition. And yeah, our pick for film of the year, Everything Everywhere All at Once, was the big winner that year. We were really the big winners because we mixed up that delicious Everything Everywhere All at Once cocktail from Fanny's, our friends at Fanny's, there at the Academy restaurant. They're kind enough to share their ingredients there for that cocktail. It was like a lemony Negroni. Remember that? And it had like the everything
Yeah.
bagel, little chip on there. That was pretty good. That was pretty good. That was one of my favorite cocktails of the year. So gonna chat about our favorite cocktails here in just a minute. But Michaela, I mentioned it was the year was going along just fine, and then news starts to break. Says the writers
Mm.
don't like this deal they're getting anymore, so going to go on strike, and then the actors then went on strike, to coincide with that, and in solidarity with people that should be paid fair wages. You and I also decided to go on strike and stop talking about movies. Well, we didn't really stop talking about them. We were still recording those episodes, but we had to turn our attention to music. And we didn't know how long that was going to last. We're like, we'll do a one drink the music episode, and then we'll be back to talking about movies next week. And that didn't happen. So then we had to be like, oh, okay, I guess we are a music podcast now. Let's see what we got going. But started that off with one of your favorites, Joni Mitchell.
Joni Mitchell's Blue. And it breaks my heart because I feel like with all of these that we picked, it's like the first podcast is, when you decide, hey, we're going to do a podcast, the first episode is always awful. And this one wasn't awful, but I definitely would go back and maybe less gush, more more critique. I don't know. It's basically an hour of me being like, it's the most amazing album ever. Um, but I do think that our, 12 13 episodes. Gosh, we did quite a few in the
15. We
kind of
did 15
15.
volumes. Yeah.
15 volumes. I think we covered a really great gamut of like classic stuff, of more modern stuff, different genres of music. We had country, we had like dance, we had folk, we had pop. We had some classics like Fleetwood Mac, and then the Beatles, of course. We did that, which was the Beatles one, the Love album was one of my favorites to talk about because it was this conglomerate of all of these different sounds and
Hmm.
kind of an homage to what is arguably the best band of all time, as well as like this new age kind of experience if you were to go watch the show in Vegas. And
Right.
so
Hmm.
I really thought that our 15 weeks or of entering the music realm and trying to do that justice was a really cool. I'm sad in a way that we don't do that every week, but we also have to sleep because it was a lot trying to
Yes.
like do movies and put those in our back pocket and also do music and then push those out. You were doing like triple duty as our sound engineer, producer, all the things.
Yes, that's
It was
right.
a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, the music was fun, and it was something, that we'd talked about doing, kind of off and on, over the course of Drink the Movies. We wanted to talk about music kind of in some formats. And, originally that was the Patreon was going to be Drink the Music, but then when the strike happened, we got kind of pushed into it. I will say that a couple of really neat things happened here during the 15 volumes of Drink the Music that we put on. Is obviously we got to talk about some really great albums, and one of the fun things there was we put those albums up to a vote for our Patreon site. They could vote on what album we covered, so that was how a lot of those got picked. So that was really fun. Um, Another thing that I thought was really great of those 15 volumes is I felt that the cocktails were very inspired for those 15 weeks. I thought that those were really interesting and excellent because movie cocktails, sometimes you'll get like a cocktail in the movie or like a spirit, like you'll see someone drinking, like a particular, spirit in a movie, and that kind of guides your hand a little bit. There are some like cocktail and, album guides out there that'll kind of lead your way. But a lot of this, in listening to an album was about, kind of the feelings you got. And that's where a lot of these cocktails came from. So that was fun. And the other big takeaway we got from Drink the Music was that Michaela was lying to herself. She was lying to the world about how much she loved Taylor Swift. Welcome to the world of being a Swiftie, Michaela.
No, yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Yeah. So it is really funny because I remember when you said, "Hey, Michaela, let's do the Folklore album from Taylor Swift." And I was like, "Oh, all right, let's do it. Fine." I mean, at
Curmudgeon.
first, full disclosure, we were picking albums that you had already. So we didn't have to go out and like buy the albums because we really wanted to do this the right way and listen to it on vinyl and all of that, right? So you said, "Hey, let's do that." And I loved the way the album looked. I was like, "It looks like a Joni Mitchell album. Let's do it. Fine." And then I listened to the album and was like, "This is amazing." And then I don't know, a month or two later, the Eras tour on screen happened, and apparently I know
Mm-hmm.
every Taylor song, and I danced like I was in a concert, and it was great because we had comfier seats. Everybody had an amazing view. Um,
That's right.
I'll never see another concert another way again. If they'll just videotape it and have me pay like $50 to go see it in a theater, I would totally do it. It was so great.
That's right. It
And
was
yes, my Christmas list, I don't know, I got like four of the Taylor's versions of vinyl for Christmas, and I've been like
excellent.
drinking them, like breathing them in like air. It's been great. So
That's
yes,
excellent.
I am an
Yeah.
unapologetic twisty.
That, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. So we had that. It definitely was the year of Taylor Swift there. We talked about her album Folklore there on that volume. She also came into 11th place on the box office for the year, 100, just shy of $180 million there with the Eras Tour film. You and I got a chance to go out and see that. That was excellent, as you were mentioning there. So that was a really fun time going to see that. And we made it out to see a lot of movies over the course of the year. Michaela, we made it out to the Independent Picture House earlier, which is a small theater here in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. If you're ever there and want to go take in a movie, they are really great people there showing some really great stuff. We made it there to see one of my favorite films of the year, which I'm totally drawing a blank on right now. Uh,
Past lives.
Past Lives, yeah, absolutely. One of my favorites of the year. There, we got to see that early on there, and made our way to see a lot of things over the year, and we talked about a lot of those over the course of this year. Indiana Jones, we made it out to see. That was a big one. Um,
We saw Little Mermaid. We saw Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I feel like this year was the year of the animated film.
it
We
was
saw a
absolutely.
ton. We saw the Mario Brothers. We saw the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film. We saw the
Hmm.
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Um, Gosh, there was a lot. John Wick 4, of course, we had to see. We saw that in the theater, and I think we covered that on our Patreon page. We covered John Wick on our regular episodes, and that was a really cool cocktail. I was really proud of the way that one looked because it was so gross and
Yeah,
very representative of like death,
that's yeah,
over the
exactly.
top violence.
Exactly right. Yeah, it was definitely that. So yeah, it was the year kind of these weird um I don't know, it was like blockbusters, but there were blockbusters that we didn't expect to be blockbusters, right? We had like the slate of Marvel stuff, right? So we had Ant-Man and the Wasp, we had Guardians of the Galaxy, we had the Marvels. We had these Marvel things, we had these DC films that were meant to come out and blow everyone away in terms of box office. They were meant to be the ones that got us back on track, right? To get to movie theaters back on track. But that wasn't what did it at all. It was Super Mario Brothers and a little thing called Barbenheimer, which we got to partake in, Michaela.
Yeah. Yeah. Barbenheimer was amazing. For any of you who were living under a rock in 2023, that was the week that Barbie came out, as well as Oppenheimer. Now, Oppenheimer had one of the best long game marketing kind of
Mm.
gains and gamuts that we've seen in movie history in a really long time. So I don't know, in 1997, they in a theater preview, it was like it's coming in 37 years.
A young
And
12-year-old Christopher Nolan said, Oppenheimer
right.
is coming.
It's coming. I'm baking it. Um, but in all honesty, we had been looking at previews for this for probably 18 to 20 months, knowing that it was coming, knowing that it was, we not really knowing much about it. If you didn't know who Oppenheimer was, you wouldn't have any idea what it was really about at first. And then at every preview kind of gave you a little bit more information, and then you finally realized what it was about 6 months ahead of time, and so we were desperately waiting for this film, versus the amazing marketing that was done with Barbie, which was basically everything was dyed pink. They had Barbie, giant Barbie size like phone booths that you could go take pictures in. It was a totally different kind of strategy of marketing, but still
Mhm.
incredibly successful. So when they both came out the same week, it became an insane, like, atomic pink explosion,
Yeah. Yes.
literally.
Yes. People were spilling out of the theater with their existential dread from seeing one and moving into the other theater to experience some more existential dread. But somehow it captured the world. It was an amazing thing. And then Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse was the third top box office there. So a couple of my favorites from the year for sure right there. And we're going to talk kind of about our favorites for the year here in just a second. But what we need to do first, Michaela, before we get into our favorite movies, we need our favorite cocktails of the year. And one of those comes from the Barbenheimer experience. We covered Oppenheimer. It was the first episode to get put on the back burner because of the strikes. The strikes happened, kind of right like immediately after that almost. But the Atomic cocktail, that classic Vegas cocktail, that was one of my favorites that we did this year. It is boozy as all drinks can get for sure, vodka, brandy, sherry, and champagne in that one. But it felt very much like being a high roller in 1950s Vegas. That's what it felt like to me. That was one of my favorites. One of my other favorites was the Pinocchio one, talking about animation that we did. That was an excellent one where we made up that mango syrup. Remember that one, Michaela? And had some
Yeah.
gin and some lavender and lemon juice, pink peppercorn, turmeric, and honey syrup. And that one, that was one of my favorites. And for recipes on all these, head over to drinkthemovies.com and check those out for yourself if you want to recreate any of those or go back and listen to the episodes. But Michaela, any favorite cocktails that we mixed up this year? Any new techniques that you learned that you're carrying forward, or anything you find yourself when you're staring at your liquor cabinet on a Tuesday night, being like, "Oh yeah, I can make one of those again."
Yeah. So there were a couple that I really loved. I felt like it was the year of the shrub. I'd never made a
Mm,
shrub
hmm
before.
hmm
We made a couple of shrubs. Um, I thought that was really good. Um, I loved I was really proud of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Mutant Mayhem cocktail drinks that we did. So for anybody that's not on our Patreon, we covered um the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and I think Secrets of the Booze. And
Secret of
so
the
we did
Ooze. Secret of the
Secret of the
Booze.
Ooze, Booze.
Secret of
Oh
the
my
Booze is an
gosh.
excellent YouTube channel. Go check them
It
out.
is. It is. That's
Plug
where
for
my
them.
brain
Yep.
was. I haven't had
Yeah.
enough alcohol yet this year. So you can see where my brain was there. But I was really proud of the way those looked because we recreated kind
Mm-hmm.
of the look and feel of the turtles as well as hockey stick. You know, we had and that was really fun. Um, I really enjoyed the drink that we made for Saving Private Ryan.
Yep.
I really
The
liked
Normandy
that one.
flower. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, it was really good. I also thought we did a really good job of picking really strange stuff. So for my favorite comedy, we picked this really neat like sardine oil infused martini thing that was amazing and awful. Like it wasn't awful, but it was just really strange. But again, it was really fun to kind of just play with the ingredients. And of course, I really loved the bullet cocktail with John Wick, right? And where we had a pencil and
Yeah.
we used the cherry as the garnish and it just looked totally disgusting. It tasted great too, but that I thought was just amazing. And so there were a lot that I really loved. I think probably like my favorite like go-to that I would make again was from fried green tomatoes.
Oh yeah.
It
Hmm.
was it had this old smoky kind of blue flame moonshine to it. It had blackberries and mint, and it was really refreshing. Moonshine is real heavy, so if I don't have that, I substitute it out with like a gin or a vodka, and it ends up tasting just beautiful as well. So that was really good. We did a lot. It's hard. It's
We
hard to
did.
pick just one.
It is hard to pick just one. You're talking 52 cocktails plus our lobby bar cocktails. So yeah, that's a lot of cocktails we're mixing up over the course of the year. But yeah, certainly some stand out more than others, and it's always fun to try to put our heads together and pick out what we're going to be doing. So let us know if you had any favorite cocktails from the year, favorite cocktails that we put together. Michaela, what about movies for the year or TV shows? Was there any kind of favorite movies that you saw this year? Things that we went out and saw, things that you watched at home, or um, even older movies maybe that you'd overlooked in the past and had a chance to watch, or favorite things we covered on the podcast, other than Noises Off, of course. But what about this year in movies, 2023? What were the big hitters for you?
I think one of my favorites you touched on already, which was seeing past lives, and we've not covered that. I think we might try and cover it next year because it's probably going to come around for Oscar season. Let's hope. But I thought that was one of kind of the hidden gems of the year. We hadn't gotten a lot of buzz about it. It is worth your time. I don't even know if it's out in a way that is accessible to humans, but I really thought that was great. That was a film that I really enjoyed watching that came out last year. And revisiting. Hmm. I really enjoyed some of the work that we did around Hairspray was a lot of fun. Hadn't seen
Mm,
Hairspray in a while, and
okay.
there's,
Hmm.
you know, three ways to watch that, right? There's the original, which we covered. There was the musical, and then there's like another musical where you can actually go on Broadway or off Broadway to see it that way. And then I think there's a televised version of the musical, so that was kind of fun. And I remember kind of watching that, enjoying that with you. That was a really good time.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. We definitely we got into some of those more modern fan favorites. We talked about some classics this year, right? Singing in the Rain. We did Lawrence of Arabia, right? Some like classics of classic film history. But yeah, saw a lot of stuff out in the theaters as well. For me, I had a couple favorite things that I really enjoyed movie wise this year. For me, the big one was it was definitely the year of animation for me, for a lot of folks out there. So Spider-Man, Super Mario Brothers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, those three were absolutely excellent. The Boy and the Heron is out now, supposed to be really good as well. I haven't had a chance to see that, but yeah, the year of animation for me, and probably my favorite movie this year has been Barbie. I've seen it 3 times now, and every time I watch it, I see something else that is extra special to love about it. And I don't know, that's just one of my big favorites for the year. Barbenheimer, we already talked about. I actually was inspired to listen to the Oppenheimer biography there, the American Prometheus, which is very long. If you thought the movie Oppenheimer was long, you should check out the book. It's even longer, but that made me have like new great appreciation for what was done there in Oppenheimer. So we had a lot of
Mhm.
big hits this year. Those two. We had Killers of the Flower Moon, which had all this buzz going on about it. We went out and saw Napoleon, which we which we talked about, I think, a little bit on Patreon, I think. But I had a chance to go see that. It was kind of the year of these big kind of epic films, but it was also the year of films that got pushed back in epic films. So next year, Michaela, a lot of people looking forward to it. We asked our Patreon patrons, and the resounding choice here. Let's see. Cassia says in 2024, I'm looking forward to Dune 2. I asked some people on Instagram what they were looking forward to, and obviously the answer was Dune 2. We had plans to cover Dune 2, part 2 on the podcast here, but obviously that got pushed back to May. So, what do you think, Michaela? Are you looking forward to Dune 2? Are you looking forward to anything else coming out next year? Are you looking forward to, I don't know, to winning Oscars again? What does 2024 have in store for us?
I am looking forward to Dune 2. We just talked about Wonka, so I've been kind of staying away from that. That was probably one of the highlights of the year for me.
Oh,
I
okay.
thought it was really great, and um I loved Timothy Chalamet in it. I just think he's so talented. So I'm super excited to see him go back and do more drama. Um and one thing I really did like about this past year is that even with all of the new stuff, we did a really good job, I feel, at Drink the Movies of mixing some of the older classics with kind of stuff that was hitting at the box office. I
Hmm.
had never seen Enter the Dragon. Sorry to say, I had never seen it. So I watched that for the very first time. I had never seen Lawrence of Arabia. That is a classic. Both of those films are totally worth your time. And I really love that we were able to mix some of these really classic, like um,
Hmm.
films, as well as being able to show what the latest hottest things were at the box office and give those a critical review and pair them with a cocktail as well. I was really proud of how we did that this year, and how we also mixed, like you said, the animated films that are maybe more geared towards a younger audience, and how we did that in what was going on at the box office with Mario Brothers and Spider-Verse and things like that. But also we covered, you know, The Secret of Nim, which was this old, really kind of cult classic animated Don Bluth like um, animated feature. I really like the balance of it all.
That's true. That's true. And if you're wondering about Enter the Dragon or Secret of Nim, they're going to be coming your way very shortly because those were things that we recorded during the strike. So, going to go ahead and put this out there now. We're going to be putting up all of the things that we covered during the strike onto our Patreon site and letting people vote those off. So, we'll be releasing those here over the next few weeks to get those out there. But yeah, those were definitely ones that were worth going back to, and hopefully people will enjoy those conversations in 2024.
And Michaela slept since we recorded those, so I didn't realize we hadn't put those out. My bad, my bad. No. But they were great, and I had never seen them before.
They
So
were. Yeah.
they were.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So hopefully those came out pretty good. Yeah, it was weird, right? Because we were still recording those week in, week out while we were doing Drink the Music. So we were pulling double duty there while the strike was going on. So it was a very, very strange year. But yeah, we're going to be putting those out here. We've released a couple. We released, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that we recorded there at that time. Uh, I think Oppenheimer, I think, was the first one we released after the strike had ended. So yeah, we're going to be pushing those out. So be looking forward to those. So if you want to vote on what's coming out, go to patreon.com/drink the movies and get on there because yeah, we did a bunch of stuff in the time there. We did Heathers, we did Pretty Woman, we did The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, The Martian, and The Creator. So a new film for this year. So yeah, it was a long and crazy year. We had some other favorites here pulled from our Patreon. Let's see. Cassie says that her favorites of the year, a lot of the same favorites as us, Michaela. So Across the Spider-Verse, John Wick 4, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Suzume, which I've not had a chance to see yet, but very much interested in seeing that. I think it's on Crunchyroll. If you have the anime streaming service, you can check that one out. Barbie, The Little
Mm.
Mermaid, and The Boy and the Heron. So a lot of good stuff there. So I need to check out Suzume and Boy and the Heron there before that leaves the movie theaters. So what do you think about that list, Michaela? Anything strike your fancy from there? We've talked about most of those things
Oh,
already, but
yeah, The Boy and the Heron. I mean, I wanted to add that well, as we look back, I didn't know if there were any films or music that you were sad that we didn't cover over the course of the year, and that's probably one of them for me. I wish that I had made it into the theater to see it because I think The Boy and the Heron would have been a really amazing thing to see on the big screen. I really love that type of animation. I was a big fan of Spirited Away, and but the director is amazing, and so I would have liked to have covered that. So maybe that's something that we can do as a move over, a holdover from 2023 into our 2024, and give that a look. Because that's probably going to be up for Oscars as well, so we'll have to watch it anyway. So,
that's right. Yeah, our
but
Oscar
that's
list.
one. Were there any other one movies that you were sad we didn't get to cover for whatever reason?
There weren't any movies that we didn't get to cover really too much. I mean, when the strike was ongoing and we were recording those episodes, I was sad that they were not going out. But of course, we were having our good time doing drink the music. There doing the albums, and that was kind of a weird sort of double-edged thing because on one hand, I was excited for movies to come back and music to end, but then once kind of drink the music got put back on a hiatus, semi permanent, not permanent hiatus. I was like, oh man, there are so many other albums that we could have talked about. That would have been great, but we'll have to figure out a way to work both of these in. We'll figure out a way to get 30 hours into the day instead of 24, maybe for 2024. That's going to be the real trick. Because 2024, Michaela, it is looking stacked with some blockbusters coming our way. Dune 2, we talked about. That is the big one. Of course, we've got kind of a big one. I don't know how you feel about this coming out this week. It's probably going to be our first like big film of the year. Mean Girls, the musical, coming out this week. That looks like it might be pretty good. That one's coming out quick, but what about 2024? Are there films that are on the horizon that are catching your eye or things that you're definitely looking forward to? This year we were looking forward to Dune 2, and it didn't happen, so we have to look forward to it for next year. But there was some other stuff, right? The Spider-Verse film was a movie we were definitely hyped up for seeing this year. Ninja Turtles was something I was hyped up for seeing this year. Are there any things slated to come out next year that you're definitely looking forward to?
So Memory looks great. That's with Jessica Chastain and Peter Sarsgaard. That
Okay.
looks really good. I was excited about that. I am looking forward to the Mean Girls comedy. I was a little bit older, and one of my old friends was like, I can't believe you've ever seen Mean Girls. So on a work trip, no doubt, we actually snuck into a hotel room and just kind of did all the things. We had ice cream and popcorn and stayed in our pajamas and watched Mean Girls because she couldn't believe I hadn't seen it, and it was really, really fun. So I'm looking forward to seeing the musical of it because I didn't even know they turned it into a musical. It was one of those things. So I'm excited about that. I am very excited about Dune 2. But I think looking forward, there's a lot of re-releases that I hadn't seen on the big screen. So like Wizard of
Okay.
Oz is having their 85th
Ah,
anniversary
okay.
this year. And so I'm really excited to see that on the big screen because I wasn't alive when it came out, and I think that would be really cool. Like My Fair Lady is having their 60th anniversary, so I'm excited to see that because I don't think I've ever seen it. So if I'm going to do it, I want to see it on the big screen. So I'm looking forward to some of the older stuff that's coming out as well. Um, it's tough because this part of the year, I get into the Oscar mode, and so everything is going to be like dramatic filled, very highbrow, like lots of esoteric kind of thinking. So I'm excited to laugh. I hope that we have some really decent, good comedies
Mhm.
in the mix as well, and not just these kind of like horror thriller, war torn,
We just have a
um
bunch more 9-hour epics like we got this year for sure. Um, yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think that we're going to see a kind of a big range of films this coming year, and um, that's the thing. Like, it's going to be a lot of films that we've never even heard of, or things that aren't on this release slate that I'm looking at right now. Something like Past Lives is going to come out, and we're going to go see that and going to be blown away with it because that happens every year. But you're looking at these lists, and of course they're all big things, and definitely looking forward to some of those. Dune 2 being the big one. Probably. I don't even know if Dune 2 is my most anticipated movie of 2024, Michaela, because you know what is my most anticipated movie of 2024? Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I love Planet of the Apes. So good. This newest trilogy was incredible. This is, I guess, set a couple of decades past the end of that first trilogy. So I'm really interested to see where the story goes, how it is. I love these movies a lot. I love the original Planet of the Apes. That's a spoiler for 2024. I'm going to make Michaela put that on the list probably to talk about. So we've got that coming out. We've got the new Mad Max coming out. That's going to be pretty great, right? Furiosa. That looks pretty epic
yeah, that
in
looks
there.
great.
You got some other stuff coming out. You got that Zendaya film Challengers was pushed back. So that's a big one.
Beetlejuice 2 is coming out in September. Well,
Beetlejuice
they kept
2
moving it, so I'm
is
so
coming out.
excited.
Beetlejuice 2 is
Well,
coming out in September, which is definitely going to be
that's
better than Gladiator 2. Ridley Scott has done me too wrong over the last three. Why would you make a sequel
wait.
to one of the best films you've ever made? I don't know. It seems like a bad idea. I don't know.
They're making a Gladiator 2. You're not wrong. It's coming out in November. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I don't
Wicked,
know.
the Wicked movie. I don't know.
Hmm.
Again, it's either going to be amazing or I'm going to hate it forever. But I am excited about one thing that's coming out. You're gonna laugh at me. It's called Twisters. So
Mm.
in 1996,
The year was 1996.
in 1996, the movie Twister came out, and it was amazing. We have
It
not talked
was.
about it. It's one of
Can't
my favorite
confirm.
movies.
Can't confirm.
Love it so much. We're totally going to do like a Patreon, non-Patreon,
Oh,
like Twister versus Twisters. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait. I've already got the
yeah.
cocktail ready. I'm so excited.
I see Lee Isaac Chung is directing Twisters apparently, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Lee Isaac Chung was the one that directed Minari, which was one of my favorite films of the last 5 or so years. So, yeah, Twisters going to be better, also than Gladiator Part Two.
The
I'm
Gladiator
pretty
2.
sure. We've got
Ooh,
the new Deadpool movie potentially coming out this year. So, I don't know. There's a lot of big hits to come, and of course, there's going to be a lot of smaller films that come in and blow us away there as well. Dune 2 being the big one. I think that Dune 2 being pushed back actually is going to change up the Oscars a lot, right? Dune Part 1, I think, won 10 Oscars. It basically won every like technical Oscar that there was, but there was going to be a lot more kind of competition for it this year. So I think it might have, cleared the path for a different road to the Oscars. The Oscars are going to look a lot different because Dune 2 is not going to be part of that conversation this year. So we'll have to wait until that releases in March and chat about that one. Anything else that we're looking forward to this year? Any kind of cocktails on the horizon or spirits you want to check out, Michaela?
so we've talked a little bit about the fig debacle, the fig liqueur debacle, right? So I finally found some. So I definitely want to incorporate more fig syrups and fig liqueurs into this next year. It's going to be the year of the fig for Michaela.
Okay.
What else? I really want to add a little bit more, learn a little bit more about um, tequila, I think. And
Okay.
the different type, like
Hmm.
tequila versus mezcal. If I was going to choose like a spirit to dive into, that is very on or off for me. As you know, like my husband loves tequila, but I don't know enough about like how it's made and what are the different variants of flavor and all of that. So I think personally, I'd like to dive in and educate myself a little bit about that. And then also any other kind of mixology techniques that we've not really covered. I love that we do some really cool things. We did um, the buzzing bee thing for the
Oh, the
Star
fuzzy
Wars
tauntaun,
cocktail,
yeah.
the fuzzy
Hmm.
tauntaun. We recreated that, and that was really amazing. I'd love to do more of that kind of stuff where it's not something you would do every day, but it's really fun. So I'm excited about that from a cocktail perspective. What about you?
Yeah, definitely trying out a few new things for sure. Getting into some new ingredients and new techniques. I think just kind of expanding the horizon of the things that we know and talk about. And maybe we'll have to schedule in because we need a little bit of extra time to do those. But some bigger cocktail episodes, like in the past, we've done Blade Runner, where we did a whole series of cocktails for that. We did Empire Records, where we did like a whole like albums worth of cocktails to talk about that. Things like the Whiskey Sour Flight for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So stuff like that is fun, but it takes a little bit more work. So we're gonna have to kind of pencil those in ahead of time and plan a little bit better, I think, for some of that stuff this year, so we can do a little bit more fun, epic cocktail stuff. I would like to do a little bit more recording for the podcast in terms of like recording us doing cocktails or like making those to put either on like Instagram and TikTok and Facebook, all those places that you find us. So getting some stuff like that done out there, growing the YouTube if you want to listen to the podcast on YouTube and getting some more video content put up there. I think that would be fun. Kind of goal for the year. I think that would be fun to do, and I think it would be fun to do a little bit more stuff on Patreon. We do our monthly kind of chat about a movie or an album or kind of whatever there, and we do some bonus cocktail stuff. That was one of the fun things about going to the theaters. We got some bonus like cocktails, so we would talk about those on our Patreon. That's been fun. I'd like to kind of expand that a little bit as time allows this year as well. So check that out on our Patreon if you're interested in supporting the podcast and getting some bonus content. But I think that's kind of the stuff that I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to a year, hopefully, of strike freeness, so we can get our act together and plan a little bit better. I'm looking forward to getting the episodes we have recorded out into the world, and I don't know, just another year of Drink the Movies fun.
I am here for all of that. I'm super excited.
All right. Well, that is kind of the year in review. Let us know what we missed. If we missed any really good movies that we need to chat about. And let us know what you're looking forward to in 2024. You can drop us a line on any of our social medias. It's at Drink the Movies on Instagram and X and Threads and Blue Sky and Facebook.com/Drink the Movies. You can let us know what you're looking forward to. Let us know how you spent your New Year's. Let us know what your favorite films are, and make sure that you stay tuned here because we're going to be getting into Oscar coverage, full blown, going strong. We'll get, of course, our Oscar giveaway and stuff when those announcements come out here in a couple of months, I guess, probably middle of February. I think those usually come out somewhere in there. So keep an eye peeled for that, and we'll do a lot of fun stuff there and on Patreon for that. Speaking of Patreon, it's patreon.com/drink the movies. Go check that out. And we appreciate all of our patrons so much. They let us do a lot of fun bonus stuff and chat about movies and cocktails and music and all the things that we wouldn't be able to chat about on the main show. So thank you very much to them. Michaela, if people want to make sure they're subscribed to the podcast, get ready for 2024, maybe leave us a review. That would be the best gift of the new year we could get as podcasters, I think. Where can they do that?
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, anywhere where Spotify podcasts are supported and distributed. If you're listening to us right now, I guarantee there is a subscribe button somewhere on your little rectangle. So press that button if you're liking what you're hearing. And if you really like what you're hearing, leave us a 5-star review, share us on social media. I don't mind saying this now, and this is a vulnerable moment. We definitely have felt a change in the number of listeners since we've had to go on strike. And so I'm really grateful for those of our listeners who stuck it out with us. Because it was hard really not talking about movies and moving into a different medium. Talking about music is turns out to be very different than talking about movies. Brian, you were amazing the whole time. I just kind of gushed for 15 weeks straight. So, if you're liking what you're hearing, let people know. We really love this, and we are so grateful for everybody that has kind of stuck with us through this really weird year, and listen to our us try and go in a new direction to continue to perform the art form of drinking and listening or watching stuff.
That's right, Abs.
So thanks for that.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you very much for listening. Let us know what your favorites of 2023 were. Let us know what your favorites of 2024 were, and let us know if you mix up the Winter Cup cocktail from this week. So check that out, and thank you so much for joining. And we'll talk to you next time on
Drink
the
the
Movies.
movies. Should old acquaintance be forgot? I don't know the rest of the words.
That's pretty good. Those are the only important words. You know how I know this year was long, Michaela?
How
We
how do you know?
we went to Disney last year,
We did?
and it feels like it was 100 years ago.
Oh my God, we did.